Hi, welcome to ThinkTech, where we are raising public awareness about technology, energy, globalism, and diversity. This show is Center Stage, and we are coming to you live from Pioneer Plaza in the heart of downtown Honolulu. I am Donna Blanchard, your host and proud managing director of Kumukuhua Theater, very near Pioneer Plaza here in the heart of downtown Honolulu. My guest today is Dan Reynolds, who is an artist, a playwright, and an organizer of artists, I'm going to say. He is one of the founders of the Spectrum Artists Collective, which created the Liquidity Project, which is what drove me to him in the first place. But we're going to talk with him about that and all sorts of other projects that he's worked on. He's coming to us via Skype from LA. Without further ado, welcome, Dan.
Thanks. Hi, Donna.
Hey, hi. Nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too. I'm going to resist the urge to call you Aunt Donna because that's all I've heard you referred to as.
That's so sweet. My darling niece, Monica, introduced me to Dan. And she is one of my very favorite people in the world. So if Monica says you need to talk with this guy, it's done. As far as I'm concerned. And if you want to call me Aunt Donna, you can.
All right.
So let's start off, if we can, with just a brief overview of what is the Liquidity Project.
Sure thing. Well, the Liquidity Project is something that kind of came out of us forming this Spectrum Artists Collective. We have in the collective, there's just every kind of artist you can imagine: visual artists, writers, performing artists. We have just so happened we ended up with a lot of poets and a lot of painters. So we kind of came up with this idea to collaborate the two, and it's kind of like the game Telephone if you played that as a kid. You whisper something in someone's ear, and then they whisper that to the person next to them, and they whisper that, and then you find out what at the end of the line it turns into something completely different. We thought it would be fun to play with that idea, and so it's basically how it works is we start off with a painting. That painting is given to a poet who then writes a poem based on that painting, and then that poem is given to a completely different painter who has to do a painting just on that, based on that poem. That painting is then given to a different poet, and then it kind of keeps going, and no one sees what's come before it. And then it's all compiled at the end to be one show. At least that's what we did last year. This year we're starting over again. We have a little bit more time. We're getting new artists and new poets involved, and it turns out we're getting published as almost like a a graphic novel. If you're familiar with comic books, but it's not really a novel; it's more of a graphic poetry book. So we're looking to have that done by April and hopefully published by summer. So we've been talking to Stack Deck publishers, and they've expressed interest. So we thought, why not? It's pretty fun, and it's funny because for a project like this, it's not a lot of work for each individual artist. They really only have to deal with what's in front of them without having to worry about the whole scope of everything. So it's fun. We did it last year, and it was fun to see how it progressed. It all Spectrum has to do with most of the artists are bisexual, pansexual, or queer, and there are a lot of they came together basically to address the problem of bi-visibility. That's why I wanted the name Liquidity Project, because it starts off with that theme and kind of goes up in many different directions. But it's interesting to see how it all progressed. Even a lot of the artists, without seeing any of the other artists' work, end up choosing the same color schemes, the same themes, the same archetypes and symbols. It was kind of interesting to see how it all evolved, and I wish Jason were here. He was one of the poets who was supposed to be here, but we could have talked more about more eloquently what it was like to be a poet involved in it. But yeah, that's the project.
Okay, I have so many different directions I want to go in with you now. Just the basic floor plan of that is so intriguing to me. Okay, so let me ask this question. Can you see a clear through line when you go into the gallery and look at poem, painting, poem? Do you see it?
Absolutely, you see it right away. Yeah, you see, like I said, some of the same color schemes, some of the same, it all looks like it was in one orchestrated show, even though it was really just kind of done one at a time. It's really fun. It was fun to watch, because especially for the poets, and I didn't even think about this going into it, but you know, a poet very rarely gets to stand back and do what a painter does and watch people looking at their work. Like, these poets got to watch people reading their poems, like standing there in front of them, reading their poems, not knowing that they were the poet. And they were after the fact, which I was saying that was the most surreal experience for them. Again, I wish Jason were here; he could talk more about that. But
next time.
Yeah, next time.
Next time.
But yeah, it was different. It was, and a lot of poets went out and so it was a painting and then the poem was hung next to it, as if it were a work of art. And a lot of the poets went out of their way, like Jason, for example, did wood burning into this awesome frame for his poem. So it looked like it just kind of really fit in with the show. It was really great.
Oh, wow. I think that as an actor, it would be so amazing to have another artist see my performance and then create a piece that is driven not just from the words I am saying or how I am moving on stage, but by being moved by my expression to their own form of expression. What an amazing sense of feedback that must be.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. And I mean, as an actor, you must know it's all about collaboration. It's all about, you know, especially with theater. I mean, I'm a kind of a theater kid myself. Like, it's how I got into the arts in the first place. It's a great experience because that's where all of the arts come together and work together to make something. I love theater.
I think so too. But there we're usually collaborating with, you know, we get the script from the playwright, right, and the director works with the actors and all of the designers. And it is more.
The actors are kind of the final.
Well, yeah, it's interpretive, and there's research, and there's a certain amount of detective work and molding, and sculpting, and all of that goes into it, for the purpose of relaying an idea, a concept, you know, this piece to an audience. So how much do you think your painters and poets were moved to share something with an audience versus just give feedback in the form of expression?
Well, I think that was one of the main motivators in the project, just specifically because of Spectrum. It was put together really kind of last minute. We did it all within like 2 months for this event called the Fine Arts Fest that was run by the LA Task Force and a group here in LA that we're part of called AMBI, which is like a social meetup group for bisexuals, and it's partnered with bisexual.org and American Institute of Bisexuality. So we were really hoping to like speak to the community, because the community's been really great to us, and the bisexual community is great about supporting their own, and this is kind of an organized way to give back to the community and to say because bisexuals are kind of a weird minority in that they have to prove that they exist. A lot of people, even within the LGBT community, kind of say, oh, you're just coming out of the closet, you're not really bisexual, or if they're straight, they think they're just exploring, or, you know, they come up with this stuff, against this stuff all the time. So to have an event, this was the first time, in LA there's a LA Gay and Lesbian Center, and this was the first time, and that center has an art gallery. This was the first ever bisexually themed art show they've ever done in the gallery. So that was awesome. I mean, it had a big part of this was to reach out to the community and to help people feel like they are recognized and they are there. They are real people. They are real bisexuals.
Yeah.
and there are artists out there that recognize that.
So you started developing or trying to develop this idea earlier, not within that community. It was in a more academic community, right?
Right. Well, so by academic, you mean me with a bunch of Harvard students drinking a lot of beer, and me saying, "Hey guys,
That's
wouldn't this be
my
a fun idea?" This is like when I lived in Cambridge. I was not a Harvard student. I was working in theater, but it just so happened like my roommate was like getting his PhD in philosophy at Harvard, and all of his literary friends were over. They're all drinking. I'm like, I've had this idea for a while, so it wasn't the the telephone game idea. It's just having like a graphic novel of poetry, an artist, visual artist working with a poet to make a poet. Because poetry books, I mean, you don't hear a lot of people going out and buying poetry books. It's not your typical average read. So I thought that might be kind of a creative way, and they hated the idea. Oh yeah, like I might as well told the Pope, hey, what if instead of you preaching on Easter, we have Madonna come in and throw a show? It just did not go over well at all. They thought it was, why would you? They saw it as like, kind of making poetry into this childish gimmick instead of just changing the format. Which they may have a point, I don't know. But that was also like 12 years ago. And comic books have kind of gone mainstream since then.
Right, there's a big difference in that landscape.
And I'm not saying it's gonna be popular or whatever, but it's fun and interesting to do. Like, especially the way we're doing it with the no one knowing what's going on. It kind of feels like this weird top secret. Like even the artists didn't see the artwork or the other poems until the actual night of the event. Like they didn't even get like a special preview of it. They didn't, so they were experiencing it with the audience at the same time. So that's kind of fun.
That's a whole nother level of the experience that would have been really awesome to see. You do this again, I'm going to find a way to be there.
All right, awesome.
Because that again, to see how someone reacted, to your work and to be able to see what came before the poem that inspired your painting. I just think there's so many different levels of insight into, the human cerebral mechanism as well as emotional mechanism. Yeah?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Like I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it kind of, for the viewer, for someone coming into the gallery and just seeing it, it kind of gives them a view behind an artist's brain. Like a lot of times you go to an art gallery and look at paintings and you kind of wonder what inspired the artist, what brought this out of him. In this experience, you get to kind of see behind the curtain a little bit and read the poem and think, well, where would I have gone with that? Like what kind of painting or drawing would I have done?
Oh yeah, it's so inspiring. I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's so inspiring. I felt like as soon as I heard the idea, it made me want to dig out some poems that I've written and take a look, and maybe there's something else that I can, go to the Art Institute here and let myself be inspired by it. I love the entire idea of it. We're seeing an image now. We just saw an image of people at the gallery enjoying the work. We're going to have to go to a break really quickly. When we come back, I would like to pick up the thread prior to the inspiration of putting this together. I'd really like to know where that inspiration came from that, hey, let's do this, because I mean, it's such a wonderful idea. I'd like to find out more about how it came about. Okay, so you stayed now, you're glued to your seat. You have to see where we're going to go next with this. We're going to be back in probably like about a minute on center stage. We'll see you then.
Okay, this is ThinkTech Hawaii, and it's Wednesday. Every Wednesday is Energy Wednesday here in Hawaii, the state of clean energy. 4 to 5 p.m. every Wednesday. Come and listen to us. And just to show you what I mean, I'm going to ask Sharon to tell us more.
Come and see us every Wednesday, as Jay said. And we have people like Jim Alvarez from HECO. here and co-host Ray Starling here every Wednesday. We not only go on Olelo and OC16, but also stream live. So please come visit us, hear about the latest in clean energy.
Okay, Jim, you've been here. You got any comment on all this?
As important as energy is in all of our lives today, this is a great forum and a great format to vet those issues. So I encourage everybody to listen in and participate.
Okay, Ray, what do you think for a close?
Well, I think this is the greatest show in the energy world here in Hawaii. You can come here every week, 1 hour, and catch the latest on what's happening and hear from the people who really know what's going on, like Jim Alberts. We appreciate your coming today.
Thank you.
Ray Starling, Sharon Moriwaki, Jim Alberts, and Jay Fidel here in Hawaii, the state of clean energy, 4 to 5
Aloha.
p.m. Wednesday. Aloha.
Aloha.
Hi, we're back and we're live. This is Center Stage on the ThinkTech Hawaii Digital Series. I'm your host, Donna Blanchard, proud managing director of Kumukuhui Theater, and we are talking with artist and playwright Dan Reynolds. We're Skyping him in from LA. We're talking about the Liquidity Project, and I'd love to get right back to it. So, welcome back, Dan. So originally you were talking with the Harvard dudes over beers about some sort of graphic novel that incorporated that genre, incorporated poetry into that genre, and they went, no, you can't do that.
It saved me into my shell for about 12 years. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and that, the graphic novels have gained a lot more respect since then. They might have something different to say about it now.
Maybe. Probably not.
Maybe not, okay. Because Harvard hasn't changed that much since then.
It's something that just has stuck with me in the back of my head all this time. And when I realized we had a lot of poets and a lot of painters, and we had this opportunity. And I like childhood games. I like playing with kids, so telephone is a classic. Didn't really know how to work in like Red Rover or any of those other games, so we went with telephone, and it worked out great. It was fun.
Well, so just one day you thought, what if, okay, because I remember playing telephone as a kid, and yes, the story that you get at the end is always wildly different, and, you know, I mean, it tickles when someone's whispering your ear. There's all kinds of moving pieces. There's a few moving pieces to that. But what, were you in the shower? How did you just decide, what if we did this between artists and we didn't tell them what came before?
I don't, that's funny. I don't really know. I can't really pinpoint when it all kind of actually formulated. It was kind of I mean, that's the thing about collaboration. You can't really take credit for the whole thing. It's kind of came together. I think it kind of evolved out of conversations with the artists and with the poets and trying to think of something new and different we could do, to work everyone together.
Okay.
I can't remember the exact moment when it all like, hey, let's do this. But but it all happened last summer, kind of evolved gradually and naturally, and out of necessity, because we had an art show. We basically had an art show. We said, okay, we're going to be kind of taking over this by Arts Fest for the year, and we have an art gallery, so let's figure out something interesting to do there. And I don't like to just have art shows where I'm just putting up my artwork or, saying, hey, here's my art. I don't know why, but I tend to do stuff that's like a little different. Like, for example, last year I did a show called 50 Shades of Phil, where it was basically a wingman event for my friend Phil, who is a very handsome, attractive, gay black man who is a dancer, for some reason super busy and never could find a date. So I jokingly once said, hey, why don't I do a show called 50 Shades of Phil, and I'll do 50 paintings and drawings, all of you, and invite every gay man we know, and we'll find you a date. And 2.5 years later, after painting like 50 paintings, we actually did that. And it was fun. It's just to give an art show a different, like a fun kind of vibe that engage the audience and make them feel like they're a part of it. That's maybe that's the theater aspect I've never quite never quite left me. But,
Yeah, so there's well, I suppose artists of all ilk are always looking for that new piece of inspiration that's going to drive them. And a lot of time, I know an inordinate number of artists who are they're like professional procrastinators. They let themselves get down to that last minute because I personally think, and I do this in some aspects of my life, I think when you get down to that, then whatever is there has to come out. It's free license.
right.
So there's that kind of inspiration, but to have something more structured like this, like the 50 Shades of Film, which sounds absolutely awesome, takes it up to a whole new level, I think. Yeah.
It was fun.
So you're also a documentary filmmaker.
I am.
Are you incorporating that with this project or thinking about moving in that direction?
Somewhat. Typically, like how I the main documentary I've been working on is called Pride of Brazil. It's about LGBT hate crimes that happen in Brazil. So how I integrate it is kind of use artwork, like say I'll a fundraiser, or if I want to get the word out for an event, an art event, to talk about the issue and to raise have like a silent auction. And actually, 50 Shades still doubled as a fundraiser for. And still, I believe, have not found him and yet, sadly. So maybe like the scenes from the documentary will have to find a boyfriend.
Oh, I'm really sorry, Dan, but there's something going on with the volume, and I'm only catching like every third or fourth word. Can you go back, please, and say what the theme of the documentary that you're working on?
The theme is about LGBT hate crimes that happen in Brazil.
In Brazil.
Brazil is number one in the world in these kind of attacks. They have 44% of the world's LGBT violence happens in that one country. And over half of the world's transgender murders happen in that one country. So like all the other countries in the world don't even equal what happens in that one country.
Wow.
For transgender murders. Yeah, it's crazy. And heartbreaking. Yeah. Which is why I paint and do theater, because if I didn't, I'd just be doing depressing documentaries on it.
Well, so yeah, Brazil there's kind of some messed up stuff going on there across a lot of different communities, not just the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot. Part of the reason why LGBT is so focused is because there are so many other problems going on. There's such an economic divide. It's just a really violent country to begin with. I mean, even capoeira, one of their most famous dance forms is a form of a fight, like it's a violent country.
That's right.
Yeah, there's so much corruption going on in the government. Like it's crazy how many issues there are. But this is just one that hit close to home. We had a friend that got killed down there, and we found out this happened time. Like police saw it happen, didn't do anything, didn't arrest anyone. A lot of the attack we're hearing about happens and being carried out by members of the police, and no one's getting arrested, no one's getting prosecuted, and it's happening every day. Like they have someone every 27 hours, someone gets murdered in Brazil. It's hard.
Yeah, my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that. It's I live here in Hawaii. I think that this community is more, it really is more of a working melting pot than many other places. And I sometimes forget how crazy people are in other parts of the world.
Yeah, and our film, it's called Pride of Brazil, because we're trying to like show that there's a problem there, but also show the positive side. Because in the fire, all the negativity and all the violence, there's a lot of people trying to make a difference, and there's a lot of people that are being unbelievably courageous and living a life out of the closet and trying to be an activist and trying to to make their country better. And it is a beautiful country, and it has a lot of great things going on there too. And that's what we're kind of trying to focus on with film, is that these people are in the thick of it, and their lives are in danger on a daily basis. A lot of them receive threats constantly. We receive threats. And just showing that in spite of all the negativity, that there are people that will make a difference down there. And we're partnering up with a few different organizations, with the American Institute of Bisexuality, great supporters so far, and trying to show what's happening with the bisexual community down there. And It Gets Better campaign, we just started partnering up with them, going down there to start an It Gets Better campaign in Brazil, to reach out to for suicide, to youth who are through that.
Gosh.
Which is important because it makes them feel like, there are people out there that care about them. There are people out there, they're not alone. Because a lot of them feel, especially in the rural parts of Brazil, a lot of these places don't even have internet access. And sometimes don't even have electricity throughout the week, let alone, the social media, the social network to kind of give them the support in the community. So we're trying to reach out and connect as many of them as possible, and to partner with these great that are already kind of doing the work and want to get down there and do it. And we're going to do our best to be that and help out whenever we can.
Yeah. So the Liquidity Project that you did, was that, did you request from which came first? Was it a poem or a painting?
I think for last year, it started off with a painting.
Okay. And is there any sort of prompt that you give to that artist ahead of time? I mean, I know it was a lot of people within the LGBT community, but did you say this is part of our theme?
Well, last year we just went with, I did the painting. I did the first painting, so I could kind of curate it. Because we needed somebody who could see everything and make sure, that the poems were handed off to the painters and the paintings were given to so there had to be at least one person who saw everything. So I did the first painting and then just kind of stopped and let it kind of happen from there. And then we had one person kind of back down and I put in another painting. But that's pretty much, that's pretty much how it started. Just because we kind of knew what the theme of it was a Bisexual Awareness Day, so we wanted something that kind of went along with that kind of theme. So that's, I guess, what inspired the first painting.
Okay, because we're looking at some of the paintings, and there's one we saw a little while ago. Some of them are really haunting. There's one with the people laying in bed, and the other, there we go, the ghosts. It looks like ghosts floating over them.
Oh yeah, it's from Pause.
It's very moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you had a photographer also, because there's a photograph of a woman with silks around her. That's not a painting. Is that a painting?
No, it's a photograph.
It is a photograph. Okay.
So, Jessica Verma. That's actually a picture of it's a self-portrait. So she's actually a photographer as well.
Oh, okay, wonderful. I'm sorry that we're limited on time today, and I'm sorry we're having some issues with Skype. Your sound is not coming through. I'm with you. I've been able to hear what you're saying, but we need to wrap up here pretty soon. I want to say that I'm completely fascinated by this work, by the mode of communication that you're creating and the way in which you are bringing this work into people who really need it, people in LA, people in Brazil. I hope to be there for the next one. I'll interview in person so we won't have problems with,
Awesome.
with the sound and with the Skype and everything else. And I really look forward to seeing more of this. What I would really love to see is someone filming the people's reaction to the work, because I think that's the next level that I'd really like to be able to be a part of.
Yeah,
How about
yeah, I'd like to.
How
Yeah, I
about-
don't know why we didn't even do that last time, but we weren't expecting the reaction we got. But yeah, next time it'll be something worth doing.
That's wonderful. So keep up the good work. Keep being an awesome
Thanks.
guy. I look forward to what comes next from you, and to being there and telling more people about it. And I'm gonna have to talk with you offline because there's a couple of these photos I would really like to use for a backdrop for my show.
Really? Yeah, well, I got to ask permission from the artist, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Sure.
let you know. But you've got some really beautiful work in here, and I find it all just very, very inspiring. I'm so glad I met you. Thank you to my darling niece, Monica, for connecting us. I look forward to meeting you in person someday, Dan. And we'll
Absolutely.
talk with Jason the next time around, too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's sorry he couldn't make it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being here and being our audience. I would like to thank a few more people. Our studio overlord, Zuri Bender, who is in my ear and helps make all of this happen, even with the technical difficulties, she pulls it all through. I'd like to thank our floor manager, Sachi Slomov, who's right over there. Thank you, Sachi. And Jay Fidel, who somehow manages to put it all together. Please join us next week. We will be back here on Wednesday from 2 to 2:45 on ThinkTech. We'll see you then.